Hi everyone, Oluwabukola here. Welcome back to Bake with Oluwabukola. And today we are going to be handling a topic that is very, very important for us to handle, and it's all about fruitcakes. You know, fruitcakes. Let me talk about Nigeria now. Fruitcake is almost like the go-to cake flavor for weddings, especially traditional weddings. You know, traditional weddings where, well, we pay the bride price. You know, the groom gets to know the parents of the family and parents of the bride. You know, both families in fact get to know one another. Fruitcake is mostly used for traditional weddings in Nigeria, and that is the reason why we need to know how to make it right. And one of the reasons why brides love to order fruitcakes is because of the significance of fruits in the African culture. You know, we believe fruit means fruitfulness. We believe it means that the wife is going to bear children. You know, it means we believe that the marriage is going to be fruitful. And also, because we all know that fruitcakes tend to last longer than other type of cake flavors. And that's these and more are the reasons why brides tend to always want to order their traditional wedding cakes and have fruitcakes in there. Alright, so before I continue, please kindly click the subscribe button, click the bell. Like, you literally need to click the bell so that I can get instant notifications every time I drop a video on the channel. Oh, that is today we're talking about fruitcake, and that is the reason why you need to watch this video to the very end. I'm going to be taking you through everything it is you need to know, at least, even if not anything, at least everything you need to know about fruitcakes. Okay, when people say that there are cakes that can last for as long as 10 years. I read in an article on Daily Mail one year where they said the bride and groom had their cake in the freezer for like 50 years or thereabouts, you know, in the UK. And it was fruitcake, obviously, and it's been there in the freezer. So first and first, is it a myth that fruitcakes can last for as up to 5-10 years? No, it's not a myth. It can actually last that long. But I doubt if it can last that long in Nigeria due to our unstable power supply. But I know in the UK it can't last that long because one, they have constant electricity. So in a freezer that is a chest freezer that is constantly powered, fruitcake can stay for years in there, and the bride and groom, that's the couple, can always go in to cut out a slice for every anniversary. So fruitcakes can last that long. Secondly, how can you preserve fruitcakes that long? The quality of the alcohol you use in preserving your fruits. And that is why we are having this video today. Okay, so what kind of alcohol do you need to preserve your fruits before you even begin to make the fruitcake itself? The stability and the longevity and the life shelf of every fruitcake starts from when you begin to preserve the fruit itself. So brandies, rum are your go-to type of alcohol to preserve your fruits when making fruit cakes, and some persons will even go as far as adding whiskey to it. So I call it a brandy, I call it a rum, I call it a whiskey. Some persons will literally mix all three types of alcohol just to ensure that their fruits is properly preserved, is properly soaked the way it should be soaked. How many months do you need to soak your fruits? If you're making a fruit cake that you want to stay for as long as 6 months, 3 months, a year, you need to soak such fruits for at least 3 months. That is the rule. That is the golden rule. If you're making fruit cakes for your customers and you want these cakes to stay for a long period of time in their deep freezers, you need to soak your fruit for at least 3 months. And you're not going to one supermarket or what's it called? That was the sell at Akongo. Then you think you bought the original thing. No, you're not buying the real thing. If you want to buy the real thing, if you want to buy high-grade whiskeys, if you want to buy high-grade rums, if you want to buy high-grade brandy, go to a mall where you know you're going to get the exact thing it thinks you're paying for, and you're not getting the fake. Because when you get the fake, you believe you've done your due diligence and you've soaked your fruits, and by the time you bake the cake and you give it to the customer, they call you back the second day, the third day, and they tell you that, oh, no, the fruit cake you gave us just went bad on us, even though we kept there, the smell is this, is that. we don't want all of these things to happen. So you need to do your due diligence by going to the place where you know, going to a place where you know you're going to get the right thing it is you need to soak your fruit, and to ensure that it stays for a long period of time, for as long as your customers will do their own due diligence by ensuring that their chest freezer is always constantly powered. Okay, so what next do you need to know about fruitcakes aside the alcohol and soaking it? The next thing again you need to know is that fruitcake often tends to come out dry. It often tends to come out dry. Not every fruitcake is moist. Most come out majorly dry. And one of the reasons why that happens is because of, one, the alcohol content in it, and two, the quantity of fruit present in the batter. So because you have a whole lot of fruit, especially dried fruit, despite the fact that you've soaked it for months on end, by the time you put it into the batter and everything, it still has a way of extracting from the moisture of the cake batter. So that is why fruitcake tend to come out a little bit dry. So when you see your fruitcake, when you bake your fruitcake and it comes out dry, do not panic, it's all good. And you can still make your fruitcake moist after baking by still drenching the fruitcake with more alcohol. You know, so you soak the fruits for months on end in rum, whiskey, brandy. After baking, you can also still, you know, drizzle your fruitcake when it comes out of the oven, and still drizzle with lots and lots and lots of alcohol. Another reason why you need to know how to make fruitcakes properly is due to the festive period. You know, abroad, when it's time for Christmas and all, they are more of the ginger bread, ginger cookie, you know, kind of bakes, and also fruitcakes. In recent time in Nigeria, we've seen a rapid increase in lots of fruitcake demands during the festive period. So they want it in pans, they want it in slices, they want it on ice, you know, just to be able to celebrate the festive period with friends and family. So especially if you're a baker, fruitcake is one type of cake flavor you need to know how to bake perfectly, so that during the festive period you can offer these as products the bakery churns out to your customers, and it's definitely going to bring you lots of referrals due to the fruity nature of fruitcakes. There are different types of fruitcakes. There are lots and lots of type of fruitcakes. You know, you get the light, you get the air, you get the heavy, you get different types of fruitcakes. But the two I'm going to make a little bit of comparison is the light fruitcake and the heavy fruitcake. So what's the difference between the light fruitcake and the heavy fruitcake? The very first difference you're going to notice, mostly not always, is the difference in color. So the light fruitcake is usually light golden, almost yellow in color, and the heavy fruitcake is usually dark in color due to the ingredients used in both types of fruitcakes. So for the light fruitcake, we have very little amount of fruits, you know, at times maybe like just 5 types variants, 4 variants, 5 variants, 6 variants. But for the heavy fruitcake, you can go as high as 10, 11, 12. It depends on what it is that piques your fancy, that suits your fancy, you want on the cake, or what it is the customer has demanded for if you are a professional baker. Before you make fruitcakes for customers, please ensure and ask them questions. Some persons are allergic to certain types of fruits. Some persons are allergic to certain types of nuts. So you need to be very careful. You don't just go crazy and begin to just mix all sorts because you decided not to ask the customers. So when customers place their orders for fruitcakes, ask them, are you allergic to fruits? Are you allergic to nuts? You need to know these things. And if you're not a baker, you're just baking at home for family and friends, especially for the festive period where lots of persons will come visit you. Before you serve them fruitcakes, please, please, please ensure you ask them these questions. It is very, very important. So, is there like a one-way rule of the type of fruit it is you can mix in your fruitcakes? No. Absolutely no. Capital letter no. Any fruit, dried, fresh, nuts, dried, fresh, that piques your fancy, you can mix together and you've made a fruit cake. What's important, like I said earlier, if you're making a light fruit cake, ensure you have at least 4 or 5 variants of fruits and nuts. And if you're making an heavy fruit cake, ensure you have a variant of at least 8, 10, and above of nuts and fruits, so that way it is fruity and it is nutty. Some persons will say fruity nutty, some persons will say nutty fruity, because you want it to be nutty and you want it to be fruity. So if you're making fruit cake for customers or family and friends who don't like to chew their nuts, if you're making fruit cake for family and friends who don't like to see their fruits, who don't like to see their nuts, I tell you today, you can go right ahead and puree your fruit after keeping it in alcohol for months and months on end, and it's time for you to bake it. Just pour everything into the mixer, pour into the blender, or into the food processor. Blend it, chop it, grate it, do whatever it is you feel like doing to it, and pour it into the batter. In fact, it comes out and it tastes even much better than the ones we bake using whole fruits and nuts, because now you've blended everything. The juice, everything is alive, is in the batter, is mixed in. By the time you bake it and that cake comes out, it's going to be the most delicious fruit cake ever. So there are no one-way rules to making your fruit cake. The only thing I'm just going to say is this, is that if someone is a Muslim, if you have a client that is a Muslim, or you are also a Muslim and you're watching this video and you want to make fruit cake and you're like, please, I'm going to pass, I don't think I want to take that quantity of alcohol in my system, or I also want to make this and I'm a mother, I have kids who will also love to eat from this, the only thing for you to do is very, very simple. You can make fruit cake even if you don't want alcohol in it. Simply boil your fruits with sugar. So you take all the fruits, you pour it into a saucepan, you add a little bit of water, you put the consistency, the quantity of sugar it is you want, you put it there and you slow boil it. You slow boil it and you're good to go. So when you slow boil, ensure that the water you're using is not much, is little, so that by the time you finish boiling, the fruit has absorbed the water, the sugar syrup, and is all loving, is gooey, is nice, and you can use that. Go right ahead and use that to make your fruit cake. The fruit cake is still going to last for as long as you want it to last, but in the deep freezer, and it's not going to last for years like that made with high grade rum. You can use your cake, you can make your fruit cake, soak your fruits. When you're not using high grade rum, I'll keep repeating this, it's not going to last for years and years and years on hand. So you can do that. Another way you can, if you want to make fruit cake, I know you might be thinking of, okay, for example, a client comes in, or I just feel like making fruit cake at home. Are you telling me I can't make fruit cake for a customer who walks in and the person wants the cake in 3 days, or the person wants the cake in 4 days? You can still soak your fruit for at least 24 hours. And you can also soak your fruit with hot water. Fruits and nuts. What other things do you need to add to your fruit cake to give it that fruity nature? To give it the taste of the festive period, to give it the taste of a wedding and all, to give it that celebratory mood when you put it in your mouth. You also need to add mixed spices. You need to use your cinnamons, you need to use your gingers, you need to use your herbs. And when you're using these herbs, ensure that you're using high quality. I can't overemphasize on using high quality ingredients while you bake, especially when you're making a cake as rich as fruit cake. You need to ensure that everything it is you use is lovely and is of the utmost quality. Another thing again you need to ensure you do when you're making your fruit cake is that you do not overfill your pan. You do not want to overfill your pan, because when you overfill the pan, what happens? The cake rises to a certain level in the pan and it begins to overflow. And I don't even think this rule is just for fruit cakes alone. Baking in general, you do not need to overfill your pan. When you have a batter, you have lots and lots of batter, instead of cramping it in one pan, why not just put it in 2, 3, 4 pans, as much as you feel it should be for you, so that at the end of the day you do not have a pan that is overfilled. I know people also ask, when it comes to fruit cake, is do I throw away the alcohol I soaked the fruits in? I have made that mistake before. I threw it away, not knowing what I threw away was the flavor of my fruits. So you want the alcohol in your cake batter. but at the same time you need to know the balance, because you don't want too much liquid from dry. So we want our dry and our wet. We want a very good balance, and that is the reason why even while you're putting the alcohol into the batter, just to get more, it's just almost like you're cooking pasta. You boil the pasta in salt water. By the time you want to toss it into the tomato sauce, we don't want all that liquid from the pasta, but at the same time we want the starch from the liquid. So what do? We just scoop out a little, we add it into our pasta while we want to fold the pasta in the tomato sauce. So it's almost the same thing with fruitcake. So when you're putting the fruit and everything, you can still get the alcohol. If it's not too much, pour everything right in. If it is too much, just take a little out of it. We still want that taste, and you can set the remaining aside. Some persons also ask, for how long can I keep my fruit mix? You can soak your fruit mix for 1 year. You can soak your fruit mix for 2 years. The more it ages, the better it tastes. The more it ages, the richer your fruit cake. So that's about it. How can I keep my fruit cake moist? You can add applesauce. Applesauce is one ingredient that is fantastic, that is beautiful for fruit cakes. You can add applesauce to it and all. What other stuffs can I also add into my fruit cake aside nuts and fruits? You can use candied peels. You can use candied peels, you can use orange rind, you can use tangerines, you can use lots and lots of stuffs that are dry. And that is the reason why on my table today I have this beautiful mango peel. Can you see? This is mango, not mango peel, mango itself, dried mango, beautiful and yummy. Like you need to pop one of these in your mouth for you to understand how delicious this is. This is mango, dried mango, and I'm going to be adding this into my fruity mix. What other things can you add into your fruity mix? Orange rinds and everything, but I'll be doing tangerines. That's just for you to know that there are no rules to how you can make your fruit cakes. I'm going to be using tangerine. I'm not going to be using orange for this particular recipe, and I'm also going to be using a little bit of lemon to help cut down on the sweetness of the fruits. And I'm also going to be using fresh dates. This is what the Hausas, the Northerners, will call dabino, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to be using fresh dates. I'm going to be using dark raisins. I'm going to be using cherries, the red, the green, almond nuts. I'm also going to be using pecans. I'm also going to be including pecans, though I don't have that on my table right now, but I'm going to be including pecans. So anything that piques your fancy, you can mix together and add into your fruity mix while it is you're soaking your fruity mix. And most importantly, when you are aging your cake, because the time will come, like I said, that if you want to even get your cake back to if you want your cake to moist and everything, you can also sprinkle alcohol in it. And what you're also doing means that you're aging the cake, because while you sprinkle alcohol into the cake, you are also helping the cake to stay for as long as it can stay. Alright, I hope with these few points of mine I've been able to convince you and not confuse you that fruitcake is a blessing and there are no one-way rules to it. So I will want you to watch while I soak my fruits in alcohol. Thank you. Completely.